Hi, John with Citizen Survival Plan here. Today we're going to go over a couple different ways that you can cook in grid down scenarios, and all the things to consider and all the different ways you can cook and the kind of the good things and some of the drawbacks to each system. I want to start the video by saying I think you should have at least each one of these. You should have a couple different ways to cook in grid down. Depending on weather, sun conditions, whether you're using solar or it's a cloudy day out, and just a bunch of different ways to do it. These are the best ways in my opinion. I know there's some other ways, but if I don't mention it in this video, it's because I don't care. Let's start with the hot plate. You're going to need some sort of generator to use this one, or a solar generator. In my test, I used a Opus 2400 watt solar generator. It was charged to 100%, and when I brought 3.5 cups of water to a boil, it used 8% of the power. So if you're going to do a lot of cooking on this, those hot plates and stuff, any electric cooking that you're going to do, if you're going to plug a griddle or something in, you are going to absolutely kill your power. Somebody in the comments had mentioned to get one of these hot plates, and I appreciate the comment. I bought one. I think it's a good thing to have, so don't get me wrong. So on cloudy days, or if it's just storming or it's cold, we can cook inside with a hot plate. So if you need to make a meal or two and you have your solar generator charged, or if you want to kick on a big generator, this could work, or you could plug like a big electric griddle in and use that. Some other pros to the hot plate and using it with a generator is if you're using it with a solar generator, this, even though it uses a lot of electricity, this is a renewable energy source. I can cook breakfast on a nice sunny day or something. I can use 10-15% of the power, and I can throw my solar panels back out, and I can have the generator charged back up in an hour or two. But the drawback to that is it's got to be sunny outside. So if you live in like a real cloudy area, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but still it's good. You can always recharge it. It's going to be a renewable energy source. Yeah, the two big cons to this though are it uses a ton of electricity, and it's a lot less powerful than using some of these other systems we're going to get into. Let's go to propane. This is my favorite way to stockpile fuel and cooking needs for SHTF, grid down, EMP attacks. All your cook stoves are not going to be bothered by an EMP. All your propane preps and your cook stoves and anything that's propane powered, unless you have one of those stupid like Bluetooth grills or something, I mean, hopefully it would still work. But yeah, propane's going to be unaffected by basically anything. I can store a lot of propane pretty easily. I keep a bunch of tanks out there. I keep a bunch of little tanks. The 1 pound cylinders, and this is a refillable one. This is one of them. And we're going to get into this in a little bit too. One of these 1 pound cylinders can bring 3.5 cups of water, which is enough for 2 Mountain House cook-in bag meals. It can bring 3.5 cups of water to a boil 24 times. So basically you can cook for days, a week or whatever on one tank, one little tank of propane. Propane is a very great condensed energy supply for preparations. Also, another thing I want to bring up, this is kind of off topic, but your propane can be used with other preps. So just for instance, me, and I don't like to just talk about my preps because I'm trying to get you guys to be prepared, not me. But I have a propane generator, I have a propane heaters, and I have propane cook stoves. So they all run on the same fuel. So your propane can be used for other preps if you get stuff that runs on propane. The fuel stores pretty much indefinitely. I have tanks that have been sitting out there for 8 years or whatnot. Doesn't matter. They run. The fuel's fine. It's not like gasoline. They're stored in pressure tanks, so they're good to go for a very, very long time. I don't know when they would stop working, but it would probably be further out than you're going to need them. So this kind of goes along with the propane stoves and the burners. Whether you're going to get a propane, just a single burner propane cook stove, or you're going to get like the dual Coleman ones. There's a bunch of them out there, Ozark Trail, whatever you like. They all seem to be pretty decent. But if you already have a grill, just a barbecue grill at your house, most of them have the burner on the side and then they have the grill. This is a great way just to already have things that you're already prepped for. Go get some extra propane for your grill just right now. Go get an extra 2 or 3 tanks. The cons to propane and storing it and using it for grid down scenarios is, especially long term, is this is a non-renewable energy source. We are not going to be able to charge up the propane tanks like we can maybe with the solar generator where I can just recharge it. I cannot cook inside with propane. So if it's snowing, raining, or just crappy outside, I can't cook inside because of the carbon monoxide. So anytime I got to cook, I got to go outside to do that. One thing that I will say, that if you have like an open garage or something, and you can just open the door, you could set your cook stoves maybe on a workbench inside your garage and stuff and kind of set that up as like a cook station. You just can't be inside cooking with it. With the propane, I think if you're going to store propane to cook with, I think this is a really great option. This is the Flame King refillable bottles. I do think you should have both. You should have the little valve that fills the disposable bottles if you have some of those already, and getting a refill valve. This is from Flame King, and these are kind of the bottles that go with it. We can refill these to run on our propane cook stoves and the single burners. They don't actually run on the big grill tanks. I can't hook anything up to them. All those like small cook stoves say you can't do it, and it doesn't work. You cannot do it. I think it has something to do with the pressure or something, but it won't work. So this is great for renewable cooking. You can keep, not renewable, but I can keep charging this tank back up and cook with it, and I can store a bunch of the big grill tanks to fill these up with so I can cook. All right, this one's kind of one that you should have, and it's cheap enough to get into. Having a fire pit where you could just throw a grate over it or something and you can cook over fire. Rocket stoves and outdoor wood stoves. You can get decent outdoor wood stoves. I kind of have an old one. I should probably upgrade mine. I could cook on it, but it's really hard to boil any kind of water or anything on it. It doesn't really work. So the one that I would probably think about getting is maybe the Guide Gear one with the flat top surface that you could set cook gear on it, like your pots and pans to cook on. Again, don't use my example in this video. This is just the one that I bought it like forever ago, but it's a good consideration to have an outdoor wood stove. You can kind of cook and heat food up on it, and you can find wood to use this thing. The pros to this is basically if you live somewhere where there's woods or whatever, you basically have an unlimited fuel supply. You could always find wood to throw in there. The cons to this, though, is I have to do all my cooking outside, away from shelter. And unlike the propane, I have to really do it outside. I cannot bring this in a garage and have a wood stove or a rocket stove or anything running, anything with a roof over it. This has got to be out. So cooking in the rain and some of the snow and stuff is just going to be kind of off limits for this. Wet wood is going to be a problem if it's raining a lot and all the wood and stuff in your area is wet. It's going to be hard to make a fire or have your wood stove going or a rocket stove going to do the cooking that day. This is why I recommend having this, but also having other means of cooking, your hot plate and your propane and stuff. This is going to be a big one for a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of people who just live in a neighborhood that might live on an acre or something, or less, are going to have to move firewood. Now, if you are in a place where you can just chop firewood for endlessly and just never run out, I mean, this is going to be different for you. But for most people, this is going to be a problem. Carrying firewood is going to be difficult. Chopping it, carrying it back, all that is going to take time and effort. It's going to burn a lot of calories that you're going to be short on during an emergency situation. So this is going to be kind of a big con with this, is bringing a lot of firewood back to cook with. I also want you to consider that if we had an EMP attack or something, your vehicle might not be running unless you EMP proofed it or something, but even then you're only going to have so much fuel. The gas stations might not be working. So moving all this firewood back is going to be an issue. So keep that in mind. Not that you shouldn't have it, because I'm recommending it. I'm just trying to get you to think about having a couple different ways to cook. That's another thing I really like about propane, is I can store a ton of a lot of energy all stored in a very small area in the house or in garage. I could take those tanks, I could fill up 10 of them and put them in a corner in my garage, and I have a ton of fuel. Not only to cook with, but also to hook up to the buddy heaters to heat the house. All right, so let's get into cooking different types of food for SHTF, grid down, EMP, whatever's going on. We're going to go through each kind of thing you're going to kind of run into. Fresh food. If you can come by fresh food, or if you just killed an animal, you went hunting and you did get a deer, the problems with this is you're going to need a lot of additional water, soap, and other things to clean up processing an animal and actually cooking it. Cooking fresh food is great. I mean, it's good, but it requires a lot of other things. So we did a picnic, just me and my brothers and family, and our daughter was there and whatnot. We made fresh food. And I brought 5 gallons of water and some Dawn dish soap to clean up the pans, clean up dishes as we are going. And we used all 5 gallons of the water because, like, if we made sausage, so we were pounding out sausage patties because we did like a brunch breakfast thing. And we make pancakes and stuff too, so we had to watch how many times we washed our hands, because if you were pounding out raw meat and then you had to like do something else, you had to wash your hands, and then you're using water and soap. So like maximizing that during the process of cooking fresh food is going to be really important. I just like to bring it up just because, and it's a really great exercise. Take 5 gallons of water and don't use any running water in your house. Just have a picnic even in your backyard. Make fresh food and see how much you use, like how much soap and water and everything you use just making one fresh cooked meal without using electricity or running water. Just try it once, you'll see how difficult it really is going to be. Also, things you're going to need for this is you're going to need cooking oil. So we can't just throw a bunch of fresh food on hot pans and stuff, and we're just gonna have stuck stuff to the pan. So you need to store up things like vegetable oil, Pam, olive oil. Olive oil is really good. Definitely store up that, and do it either way, because again, this video isn't about telling you which one is the best. It's the considerations of each one, and you should be doing each one. You should be able to make some fresh food. You should be able to do all these things. But I want you to consider all the things that it's going to take to do it. The oils are probably going to be your best bet, just because I want to mention this. Refrigeration might not be an option during this time, and those oils don't require refrigeration, so you're not going to have butter. A lot of people cook, you know, you make breakfast or something, you use fresh butter to butter the pan or whatever. That might not be an option. So even if you do that, for prepping, you should get some of these oils and just at least store them up. Let's go over canned food. This is a big one in the prepping community. Everyone's got canned food. I want to start with this. You can eat it cold. You can eat canned food cold. It's probably not the best, but not all of it has to be heated either. But if you're heating up like some like chili or whatever, all kinds of other meals. Kids eat like Chef Boyardee and stuff, you know, whatnot. Like if you're heating it up, you're going to need to clean too. So that's going to be something you're going to have to think about. It is a little bit less of a mess than cooking fresh food for sure, because it's already in there. You're just going to pour it in and just heat it up basically. I would still say you probably will need some oils for this to cook with. So you're still going to need that, just like for the fresh food. We're going to want Pam olive oil and some vegetable oil, stuff to cook with. All right, let's move on to dehydrated food. And this is your bulk stuff from like My Patriot Supply or Wise Company or wherever you bought it from. If you bought those big pails of dehydrated food, or some people call them freeze-dried. Some of the less expensive stuff is actually just dehydrated. It's not actually freeze-dried food. This is going to be a lot like canned food. You still, and this is something that I brought up in one of my other videos, and I think people hadn't thought of it. They buy all this emergency food and they stack it up to the rafters. You know, they buy a year's supply of emergency food from My Patriot Supply or something. Well, none of that stuff, or at least the bulk items, some of their stuff does, but I'm talking about specifically the bulk sales that they do. They don't cook in the bag. So just like we talked about with canned food and fresh food, you are going to need a ton of cleaning supplies, Dawn dish soap, and a lot of water to wash this, to wash up after you're done cooking. I need a lot more stuff with this. So this brings me on to the final thing, and this is my favorite way to have food in a grid down scenario, is the Augustin Farms and Mountain House foods that you can cook in bag. Mostly the entrees are going to be Mountain House. Some of the Augustin Farms, I get some of the number 10 cans of meat and some of the fruits and stuff to rehydrate to eat for everybody. But specifically, like your main entrees, I want them to cook in the bag. All I need is boiled water for this. I boil 2.5 or 3.5 cups, whatever each meal kind of requires, and you just boil the food, and you boil water and you pour it into the packets and you let it heat up, and then you can eat it right out of the packet. I can pack that packet flat when I'm done. I'm not using any soap or dishes or etc., whatnot, nothing. I am going to eat that meal and I'm going to pack that bag flat, and I'm going to stick it in like some Home Depot bins or something. Me and my family can eat for months, and I will store up maybe just one bin of garbage as opposed to piles of canned food or fresh food. If you're getting it from the grocery store, it's going to create garbage. It's going to come in packaging. Yeah, another thing I want to mention with the freeze-dried food, and people say it can make you sick if you eat it for long enough. Well, astronauts, that's what it was invented for. Eat freeze-dried food for extended periods of time, mostly. And they're okay. I think you're going to be okay. I also want to say you're probably not just only going to be eating freeze-dried food in a grid down scenario. You're probably going to come by some other food. You're going to have some canned food. You're going to have just some other stuff you're going to be eating. But I want to store up a lot of this so I always know I can have a meal a day or maybe 2 meals a day of freeze-dried food. Another consideration to make is don't just buy entrees if you're going to stick with freeze-dried food. Make sure you get the fruit pails, the banana chips, the apple slices, all dehydrated. Get that too. And I agree with some of these people that are saying that it's going to make you sick. Sure, if you're only eating the entrees, make sure you get the other stuff. Get a balanced diet of freeze-dried food and you'll be just fine. The cons to the freeze-dried food is it is the most expensive. So it's the best, but it's the most expensive. It stores 25 years, so I mean, it's just rocks for prepping. Adding protein can be really expensive. The number 10 cans of beef and chicken are just really expensive. So that's really the drawback to real freeze-dried food like the Augustin Farms and the Mountain House stuff. You really are going to spend a lot of money on it. But I set aside a budget and I'll purchase a little bit each month and just put it back. So that does it for today's video, cooking. This is a lot of stuff that you just have to consider with it. A lot of it is just considering how much water and stuff you're going to use. I implore you to go back and watch my water video. I have 2 of them out, water basics, and some of all the considerations that you're going to need to get water, like collecting water, purifying, and boiling water to make your food and clean up dishes and stuff if the running water is gone. I hope this video helps, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.